Welcome to Blue Fire Coasters. Today, we are going to be talking about Iron Gwazi, a new RMC hybrid coming to Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. I am, for one, super excited about this amazing coaster coming to Tampa. By the way, if you don't already know me, my name is Dustin. Hey, Tayden, how are you?
Pretty good, man. How you doing yourself?
Man, I'm stoked. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to be headed to the park to hang out, get some photos, and see what's going on with Iron Gwazi. So, tell me a little
Amazing.
bit about yourself. You seem to be pretty familiar with this new coaster coming to Tampa. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man. It's pretty nice living about 20 minutes from Busch Gardens. I get to go pretty
Wow.
often. Yeah, I've been here since I remember riding the old Gwazi before they tore it down and built this one, man. It was pretty rough, I will say that. But man, I'm beyond excited for Iron Gwazi 2020. I think it might just be the best new coaster in the park, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. What do you think about Cheetah Hunt?
I mean, yeah, Cheetah Hunt's good. It gives you some pretty good views of Iron Gwazi, if you ask me.
Yeah, so tell me about your experience checking out the construction.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't old enough to go on the construction tour, so I had to stay outside the walls. But even there, it's just,
Yeah.
just looks like an amazing ride coming up. RMC is amazing when it comes to building rides quickly. Look at Zadra, that fell down. It's already open this year.
Yeah, they're
Um,
amazing.
yes, they are. Even getting to individually meet with the project lead, Andrew Schaefer, was
Yeah,
just amazing experience in itself.
right.
Nonetheless, actually seeing the ride. Hopefully, we're going to have it all done by the end of this month and hopefully starting testing somewhere in the next 2 months. And yeah,
Absolutely. As you're well aware of, the park has kept this layout for Iron Gwazi pretty under wraps.
yeah, man. We're not getting any teasers.
Yeah, man, we're not getting much of anything. Most of the time
Mm-mm.
the park will publish a full layout graphic of the coaster. You'll see every element. Um, I mean, if you look at other rides that are being constructed by SeaWorld Entertainment, you find Pantheon, which had that cute little graphic that shows the elements and how they're related to different Greek gods. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have any of that for Iron Gwazi.
All we have is that we know it's going to be tallest and fastest and all that. That's all they've given us. They're really keeping it secret with this one.
From what I know, there's elements that aren't even close to what the teasers showed. What are your thoughts
Uh-huh.
on that? What are your thoughts on kind of how the park is handling communicating the coaster and what we have here?
I think it's for the better. I think it's a good move by the park to kind of build up the hype so that when it is released, everybody's super excited about it. I think that it's better that they didn't release it early so that people, are kind of staying in tune with the project as time comes on so that when they do release it, it's going to go pretty popular.
That's a really good thought that you mentioned that. Have you gotten the chance to ride Steel Vengeance?
I have not,
You have
unfortunately.
not? Well, being a person that's ridden that, one thing I'm looking forward to is making a direct comparison between these two
Hmm.
coasters. Both
Hmm.
are remakes by RMC. Both coasters are designed by the one, the only Alan Schilke. Both
Hmm.
coasters have a unique twist on their previous predecessor. Now, one thing that we saw with Steel Vengeance, and I'm sure you're well aware of it, was we knew the hype for a while. We got that
Hmm.
layout early on, the August before it opened, and since then, that question was posed: will this be the best coaster? And so there's a lot of hype for that coaster, and
Hmm.
we saw that in many ways it surpassed the hype, but at the same
Yeah.
time, there was definitely questions about pacing, and other people asked, okay, what is this brake run going to do to this coaster?
Uh-huh.
The thing about Iron Gwazi, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to get on this coaster having no clue what this thing is truly going to look like.
Hmm.
And we're going to experience it for ourselves. and the buildup of hype is going to be absolutely crazy. Tell me about it. What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty amazing coaster.
Right.
I think the park will release an official POV maybe a week or two before opening.
Right.
But even with that, I don't think it's going to be enough to actually lessen all the hype. I think everybody's just going to want to ride it. You know.
Absolutely. Just think about it. Florida, middle of the hot summer. It's going to be
Mhm.
95 degrees outside, and man, that Rocky Mountain construction iBox track is going to be cooking.
Yep, 75 miles per hour. You'll definitely be able to feel that in the first row.
Absolutely. And there's, from what I've heard, there's either no trims on Iron Gwazi or very little trims on the coaster.
Because there
So
is no mid-course on there.
nothing's going to slow down that coaster. I mean, have you seen the Outer Bank since it's been constructed?
A little bit. I mean, it looks amazing. I saw it when they barely.
I mean, that element looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have your phone out trying to video and you're going over that thing.
No. Especially since it's right off the drop, you know?
Exactly, man. That is going to be some extreme airtime.
Now, the only thing with there being no mid-course is that they're only going to be able to run 2 trains, so
Which
expect there
isn't.
to be some decent lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad.
Mhm.
Could be much worse. RMCs typically don't have the best operations. So
Yeah.
even when you have 3 trains, you're not really utilizing the 3 trains as well as you could have
Mhm.
because they're not dispatching in time.
Because you
So
have to think there's a seatbelt and a lap bar.
I would imagine that similar to Steel Vengeance, there's going to be a nice pouch on the ride where you can put your phone.
Uh,
I would hope
which
so.
would make sense.
And that would probably be a little better than forcing people to put it into a bin or something and take up
Mhm.
even more time for the dispatch. I love roller coasters. I love nerding out about them. I got my degree from UF in aerospace engineering, so the
Uh-huh.
math and science behind how coasters work really make me tick.
Mhm.
One thing that we're going to have on this channel a lot is no limits recreations. In fact, right now I'm in the process of making a recreation for Amusement Insiders. And
Uh-huh.
while the actual recreation is going to go on their channel, I'm actually going to do some behind the scenes on this channel just to kind of give a sneak peek at what we're doing. Now, you, Tayden, you love roller coasters. Would you consider
Correct.
yourself more GP or roller coaster enthusiast?
Coaster enthusiast for sure.
Absolutely. And there's no wrong answer. I'm not Coaster Studios. I'm not going to make fun of GP. Trust me, man. I was definitely GP not too long ago. I'll be honest. You might know how a coaster works, but at the end of the day, if you're not getting your coaster count up, then
What is the most GP quote you've heard?
The most GP quote I've heard. So, man, it's so funny. I was at SeaWorld Orlando, and people were talking about Space Mountain being the best coaster of all time.
Speaking of SeaWorld Orlando, I was on the Sky Tower, and these people were sitting next to me. They were talking about how they thought Manta, Kraken, and Mako were all one coaster connected and together.
Are you serious?
I swear on everything.
Yeah. Honestly, man, the same thing happened to me when I was in line for Mako. If you've been on Mako, you know that the Immelman for Kraken is right there.
Yeah.
And
right
someone's like, "Hey, Mom, Mako has a loop." They didn't even call it Immelman. They said it had a loop. I'm like, yeah, and if you're real lucky, you can get on the floorless trains for it. Yeah, but if you want the floorless trains, you gotta go over there.
To another roller coaster.
Yeah, another coaster. Oh man,
that's funny.
I'll tell you. So, just kind of getting off topic here, but you've been on Manta, right?
Correct.
So, tell me about your first experience on Manta.
Oh, that was a good one. It was during the Christmas event. I think I was 9 years old or so.
Wow.
We waited upwards of 2 hours to get on it.
2 hours for
I
that
think,
coaster? Oh man,
yeah,
that's crazy.
worst
The
decision.
anticipation must have been
Um,
crazy.
I don't really remember much. All I remember is screaming when we went in the pretzel loop.
Oh man, the G forces in that thing are
Yeah,
crazy.
something you can only experience on a ride like that.
Yeah, when you're in a standard seated position, those
Hmm.
forces, and you're going through a loop. Those forces are pushing through your spine uh, into the seat. So
Uh,
there's the way you feel those forces is very different.
hmm.
When you're going through a pretzel loop, you have about 3.8 Gs going straight through your body into the I call it the bed because you're laying down, but the seat behind you, and it's a
You're
whole
going
different
backwards.
feeling. It almost feels like you're being accelerated. The
Hmm.
only experience that I can even compare that to is riding Top Thrill Dragster or a super high accelerating launch coaster. Um, I know that actually I haven't been on Tigris before. I need to get on
Uh,
that tomorrow when I go to the park. But I would imagine a ride like Tigris, made by Premier, has a pretty good acceleration. That
yeah, it does.
that's the kind of experience that you have when you're going through that pretzel loop, and it's
Because on Tigers, if you're not
spectacular.
ready for it, it just takes off.
Right now, you want to talk about GP for a minute? I was temporarily GP because when I got on that coaster, I was freaking out because of the way it secured you in. I'm like, man, I mean, I'm not morbidly obese, but I'm also not the smallest guy in the world. If anybody's seen me, you
Mhm.
know. And when I got in there, I'm like, man, I hope I don't fall. I hope I don't fall. So literally, the first time I rode that, the whole time, I'm literally having nightmares of like, what if this train opens up, man? I'm gonna
Uh,
fly. I'm gonna hit the net, man. I'm gonna hit the rock. I'm gonna hit the waterfall. I'm gonna hit the ground. I'm gonna hit a support. I'm gonna hit some random person eating a Shamu ice cream thing. I'm like, what is
that's
gonna
me.
happen? And then
That's me every time I go on Falcon Sphere when it tilts you. Oh, I hate that
oh
feeling. I feel
yeah,
like it's
man.
just gonna let go on you.
Ah yeah, dude. But then when I found out that it had a lock pin in there, see, I didn't know about the lock pin at first. I
Uh-huh.
thought it was just a normal restraint, like a B&M invert, where you have an
Mhm.
over the shoulder restraint, or a dive coaster where you have the vest restraint. That's
Mhm.
basically what I thought the restraint system was. I didn't know that it had that redundancy with the lock pin. Once I found out I had a
Uh-huh.
lock pin, I'm like, okay, yeah, this thing's fine. I'm not gonna budge.
Yeah.
But you know, because the first time I didn't hear the lock pin click.
Mhm.
Apparently it's super quiet, so you're not always gonna hear it quick unless you're not always gonna hear it click unless you're listening for it.
Uh,
Speaking of clicking, man, there riding an RMC is one thing, but listening to that thing roll, hearing the roar as it goes through the layout, watching the coaster move and shift the structure as it goes through,
uh-huh.
that's one of the most spectacular parts with going to Cedar Point and experiencing Steel Vengeance, is being able to see how much that structure moves every time the
Mhm.
coaster goes through the layout. And I can't wait to stand there and and watch Iron Gwazi go through that outer that outward facing wave turn.
Mhm.
It's going to be spectacular. And to be on the coaster and hear the click clack of the RMC train going up, man,
Uh-huh.
it's it's seriously going to be a sensory overload. So
Yeah.
I want to hear more about your breakdown of Iron Gwazi. So, first off, I want to hear about the first time that you heard that Tampa Busch Gardens was going to get this hybrid coaster from RMC. Tell me about it.
So I was actually at baseball practice waiting for it to start, and they had went live on their Facebook and put the different videos showing like when they were back in the 50s and going on, and then they finally released a tiny bit of what Iron Gwazi was going to be.
So at that point, you knew that they were announcing an RMC, right?
Oh yeah, it was basically everybody knew they were going to do that.
So you knew it. You were just waiting for confirmation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to most about this coaster?
Definitely that first Outer Bank turn.
What about the inversions? What do you think about that inversion that I believe some people are calling it a heaven roll?
So yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be pretty good, especially as you come off that Outer Bank turn and you go straight into there. There's no other element before that. So you're definitely going to be flying through there, and I think you'll get some airtime on the loop. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm.
So we don't know for sure what it's going to look like because it hasn't been fully constructed yet, but we know that we're going to have a zero-G stall somewhere on the coaster, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Well, not even somewhere. We kind of know where it's going to be located,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not sure exactly how tall it's going to be. We're not sure how it's going to come out of that. What are your thoughts on the possibility of going through a zero-G stall at over 45, 50 miles per hour?
Oh, it's going to be amazing, no doubt about it. Even if you take Zadra into consideration, just look at how that one turned out.
Right.
Some people are saying that could be the best element on the coaster. It just depends on where the location is, how fast the train's going through it, how long the actual roll is going to be, and just different elements vary on it.
That's pretty awesome. A lot of times, a coaster that goes that high doesn't always go that low. So the fact that we're maximizing the full extent of that hill, that's pretty special, especially in a location as low in sea level as Tampa. So what are your thoughts on being able to maximize the full extent of that height?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely using its space wisely. It doesn't have a big area to work with, and they're definitely using every inch and foot that they can use possibly.
Right. Are you glad that RMC and Busch Gardens decided to have one larger coaster, or would you have rather seen something like Twisted Colossus in Magic Mountain, where it's a Mobius loop?
So I'm glad that you brought this up. I'm actually personally happy that they did one complete circuit and not two, because that gives you more space to work with. They can go bigger and better, not smaller. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course, if the original Gwazi was a Mobius loop, that coaster would have been well over 7,000 feet long. The fact that you are able to have a coaster go through those insane RMC elements at that speed, I mean, this coaster has a chance to be better than Steel Vengeance. So, Tayden, before we head off the podcast, I have one more question for you. Do you think Iron Gwazi will be the #1 roller coaster in the world by the time it's open this coming spring?
Yes, I do.
Tell me why.
Because it's Iron Gwazi.
Because it's Iron Gwazi. Anything else?
That and it just looks like it's going to be an amazing coaster overall. All the elements on it, everything like that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Tayden, thank you so much for conversation. This is something new. I haven't done a podcast before, and I definitely want to try it out. I definitely want to get this on the web and involve people. on this journey as we experience Iron Gwazi, and this definitely won't be the last conversation between us about this
Yeah.
great coaster. Um, I know once they complete track work, I wanna bring you back on actually looking at real images of the layout and break down the coaster element by element and make predictions based on what we see. And then after that, I want to bring you on once we get to ride the coaster. I hope to have an opportunity to ride the coaster with you so we can
Yeah,
in real
man.
time react to the coaster. But yeah, man, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on, and to all of you that gave this 30 minutes of your time, uh, checking us out at Blue Fire Coasters. Thank you. Definitely leave a like if you by any chance hated this. Yeah, just hit that dislike button twice. Get all out of you, and definitely subscribe. Invite friends to this. This is going to be an incredible movement of roller coaster enthusiasts loving coasters and enjoying this process of seeing these new and amazing attractions built and experienced. Thank you.
Well, it was nice talking to you, man.
Absolutely. Signing
Enjoy your
off.
day.
Peace.